I know. I'm always talking about the fertile window and how important it is that you make love right before ovulation to catch that golden egg. But let me emphasize this. It is just as important for you to prioritize lovemaking in the luteal phase when there is no egg to catch at all. Hello my lovelies, and welcome to another one of my videos in which we'll be talking about 3 important reasons that you should continue to prioritize lovemaking in your luteal phase when you're trying to conceive, even if in luteal phase you aren't actually fertile. And I've talked about this before, but I feel it's really important to emphasize and that this topic deserves its own video. So here we go, and do stick around for the 3rd reason as it may come as a surprise to you. I'd say the first reason is something that you as a community could come up with because it is pretty obvious. If you prioritize lovemaking when you aren't fertile, it takes the pressure of trying to conceive. If you've been trying for a while, you know what the pressure of trying to conceive does to you. Often the period is the time of grieving, like again, no pregnancy, or even anger, which is also really understandable. And sometimes it's like, can you just get this period over with so that we can get to the fertile moment? And then after that, you've got this build up, this anticipation. Maybe you are more into the relationship and enticing your partner. Also because hormonally, you are probably more into him this time of your cycle. And then you've got the fertile window and you think, okay, we need to make good use of this. And you're planning that you're home or that you get to meet each other. I know so many couples that say they have to travel for work, so they're trying to plan everything around the fertile window. And then after that, it's a 2-week wait, which is pretty horrific. So I've done a video on that. And if you need some help with that, I'll make sure to link it in. You can go and watch that for some support. But that means that there's a lot of pressure on every part of your cycle. And that's not just for you as the woman trying for this baby, but also for your man. I know from my clinic that a lot of men really suffer from this pressure around the fertile window. And obviously there are the exceptions. There are those that chart their woman's cycle and they're like, let's get it on, baby. And they're completely fine with it. But I say that most of them, they really struggle with this part, that they feel that this is the moment they need to perform, or some of them sadly feel like they've only become important for that goal of having a baby. And you and I both know making use of your fertile window is not exactly fun or easy if your man has performance anxiety. Not to mention, anxiety isn't good for your hormone balance. Not yours, but not for his either. Number 2 is that when you are trying to conceive, it is so important to invest in your relationship. And I feel like this is a really looked over topic. Also in the period that couples are actually expecting their baby, there's a lot of focus on making sure that the baby room is ready or preparing for labor in the best case scenario. But there isn't a lot of attention for making sure you have a strong relationship to deal with that change and to be able to give yourself as parents to that baby. But that investing actually starts today, because if you've been trying to conceive for quite a while, you know that this puts a lot of pressure on your relationship. We just talked about the fertile window, but in general, it puts a lot of pressure on your relationship because you might be processing disappointment or grief in a different way, or one of you might feel like you're failing the other person because you're not conceiving, even though that's ridiculous. If you're thinking that, you know that is ridiculous. So when you're trying to conceive, investing in your relationship is more important than any other time, I'd say. And lovemaking is part of that. There may be seasons that you have excellent reasons that you're abstaining, but generally speaking, lovemaking is a really important part of your relationship. So make sure that you're investing in your relationship mentally, emotionally, spiritually, but also physically. And there's no better way to show that it is not about the baby, but it's about the 2 of you when you aren't fertile and it is impossible to even catch an egg. Here's reason number 3, and as I said, it might come as a surprise to you, but abstinence isn't actually good for the sperm quality. So if you're only focusing on the fertile window, then not making any love at all for your whole luteal phase, and then not during your period, and then you start trying again, the sperm that is released then isn't going to be in the best shape. The funny thing is that sperm count might go up if you are trying to kind of save it up, but the quality of the DNA of the sperm starts to degrade pretty quickly. You kind of want to have a fresh batch all the time. And this is why it isn't exactly helpful that practitioners are recommending to couples that struggle with low sperm quality to abstain a couple of days before ovulation, because it's just not going to be the best soldiers that you can get into the game. Hey, and if you want more tips on trying to conceive naturally, then click on the playlist on your screen right now. And in the meantime, see you in the next video. Bye.